say. It is 11 o'clock on my watch. So hello everyone, welcome to 4Excellent Solutions Second Sustainability webinar. My name is Innocent Rabhali and I'm one of the 3 directors at 4Excellent Solutions. So for those who are with us in our first webinar, it is great to see you again. And for those who are joining us for the first time, we'd like to say welcome. We hope you'll find today's conversation very informative. So with me today, I have Dr. Elaine here from 4Excellent Solutions and our guest speaker, Neil Franklin from AECI. Guys, we are looking forward to your parts. Dr. Elaine, we enjoyed your presentation in the previous webinars. If it would be nice for you to remind us what is the purpose of this webinars, and give us a short summary what it is that you wanted us to take home in the previous webinar.
Okay. Thank you, Innocent. Yes, so let's just remind everyone again the aim of this webinar. So firstly, we want this webinar to be a platform to share best practices. So we want organizations and people that's busy with sustainability, implementing sustainability in their organizations, to come and share what they are doing in terms of the development of their sustainability strategies as well as the implementation. We truly believe that sustainability is so important that we can't keep it for ourselves. So the more we can share with each other, the more we can collaborate and partner, the better we can fast track sustainability to just build a better future for our next generations. Then secondly, we also want this to be a platform where you can learn from practice and as well as from theory. Our next webinar will be the 28th of July, and Professor Josephine Musangu will share her knowledge on systems thinking and how you can use systems thinking for sustainability in your organizations. Sorry, I'm just hearing some feedback from Neil. I'm not sure if it's from you or from Innocent. So yeah, maybe just put your volume down a bit. I say that's better. And then lastly, we would like this to be an opportunity for our participants to network and to market. So market your company, your organization, your own services. So please use this as an opportunity and see who else is joining this webinar, and see if you can make contact if there's specific people that you would like to meet after the webinar as well. Okay, then our previous webinar was on the 23rd in May. We had Isha Mansingh from Imperial with us, and she shared their journey of developing their ESG strategy at Imperial. We were in the fortunate position to facilitate that workshops with them. We had 3 days of workshops with Imperial. And yes, I think what we learned from that is really that sustainability is complex. It's a complex matter. You need to integrate it into your organization. And when you look at the theory of complex situations or complex problems, you really need to look at different approaches to tackle that in your organization. What we also learned from Isha is that to develop your ESG strategy, you really need to invest the time. So we had 3 days of workshops with their executive members. We did a full internal analysis. We did a SWOT analysis. We also did an external analysis. And we also asked the participants to do a maturity assessment on their ESG status. And that really helped us and informed the goals that were set for their strategy as well. So you need to spend the time, invest the time to go and develop a strategy that you get the buy-in from everyone as well. And then just lastly, we ask Isha what she perceives as the biggest challenge for them, especially when you implement this strategy in your organization. And then we got this from Isha, but then also from our participants, that to change behaviors and mindsets of the people working in your organization is actually the biggest challenge for sustainability. So, and even if I think about myself, just the idea not to have 2 cars at home for me is, I don't know how we will be able to cope without another extra car in our household. So it's really a difficult thing because the habits are so ingrained in us that it's difficult to make those changes to become more sustainable. So that's definitely a challenge as well. Yes, so if you haven't been at our previous webinar, Monica, my colleague, will post the link. We've got a YouTube recording of that webinar, so she will post the link in the chat section. Please go and have a look at the webinar recording. And yes, over to you, Innocent.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elaine. We really did enjoy that session. But today we are looking forward to Neil's presentation. So a little bit of a background on who is Neil. So we'll see there from the slide is that Neil is the Group Manager of Safety, Health, and Environmental.
I see we lost Innocent here, so I'm just going to continue with Innocent. Tell me if you're back. Yes, so Neil is Group Manager of Safety, Health, Environment and Sustainability at AECI. Neil has worked across multiple sectors, including mining, gas, exploration, construction, chemicals and explosives in over 13 countries. He's responsible for the development and implementation of AECI's award-winning SHEK strategy. And in 2019, they expanded their SHEK to include sustainability in there as well. In 2020, the Zero Harm strategy received the Kaya Award for Initiative of the Year. And then Neil is also chairman of the Chemical and Allied Industries Association and Process Safety Forum, and he's member of the AECI Responsible Care Standing Committee. Welcome, Neil. You couldn't attend the previous webinar because you were, I think, in hospital with COVID. We are so glad you can be with us today. Please share with us, have you fully recovered from COVID?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks, Elaine. So fully recovered, I think, is a bit of a misnomer with COVID. I think everybody has some form of lasting effects. I would say that I'm probably about 95% there, and it's getting better every day. So yeah, very, very blessed to be out of hospital and back in the office. So thanks very much for asking.
Sure. Okay. All right. So Neil, before we hand over to you, I'm just going to quickly go through our Airmeet functionalities again. You'll see in the chat, Monica, my colleague, will post information that you will need throughout the webinar. She's already posted the YouTube link to our previous webinar session, and she will also post some information that's important. Then in the Q&A section, we would like you to please, the participants, to ask questions to Neil. After his presentation, we'll handle all those questions as well. And then finally, new in Airmeet, we're very excited about this functionality, is the poll functionality. So we would like everyone, we're going to ask a few questions on the poll, and then we would like our participants to answer those questions. So maybe let's start with one of the questions, one of the poll questions. Okay, so the first question, if you go to your poll section, we would like you to answer, what do you perceive to be the top 3 material sustainability topics that need immediate focus? We've got a few options there: equality for everyone, a fair governance systems with no corruption, securing a just transition to a slow carbon economy, creating an effective education system, affordable and reliable electricity supply, clean water and sanitation. So it would be great if you can just select your top 3 material sustainability topics. Yeah, so I can see what I can see there. There's a very good balance between all 6. Equality for everyone. The greatest one that's coming through here, which is quite interesting, is creating an effective education system in our country. Yes, because that is also going to determine the knowledge and innovation from our future generations. Okay, Neil, I'm really so excited to hear what you have to share, what you are going to share with us today. Before we hand over to Neil, we're just going to show a quick video of AECI, just to give you an overview of the company, and then Neil will share his learnings with us.
When we put in more than we get out, when we make every drop count, when we nourish the root that grows the plant that feeds the nation, when we harness the power of good chemistry to connect people and places, to add color and spice, to fight fires and fire up businesses, to keep trains on track and manufacturing on time, to employ, to empower, to care, to inspire, to create a world that is cleaner, healthier, more abundant, sustainable, and happy. This is the possibility and promise of AECI, a global South African company of the future. We are one AECI for a better world.
Thanks, Elaine. If I can have confirmation that you can see my full screen.
Yeah. Yes, Neil, we can see your screen.
Right, thanks very much. And so good morning again, colleagues. I'm excited to be here sharing a little bit of the journey that AECI has been on, and hopefully add some value in the 60 minutes or so you've taken out of your diary today to attend. But yeah, thanks to Elaine and For Excellence. We've been on a journey with this organization for many years. They partnered with us on our SHEC strategy as well, and are pretty much part of the AECI family. So thanks to you guys for setting this up as well, and appreciate the opportunity for us to share. AECI has been very transparent with its strategies, whether it be zero harm, whether it be our COVID management strategy, and similarly now sustainability is. You'll find these are all available on our website, and with the purpose of helping others on their journeys, hopefully in some way. So you'll find all of this that I'm going to talk about today is on our website, either in the sustainability report or in the integrated report. And if it's not there, then you can gladly drop me a note, and I'll share it with you. But let's talk a little bit about AECI, and the reason we use the video is, you know, there's a perception out there about AECI which is largely driven by probably our history, and that is our history is very much embedded in explosives and mining. So when you talk to people about it, they often limit their knowledge, or is limited about AECI based on the fact that we've been such a dominant or such a big player in the explosives business, and it is still key to our strategy. However, you can see from the video that we've expanded significantly over the years to now include water as a key part of our business. Agri-health is a very key part. Food and beverage, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Then we have our core chemicals business, and then we also have a property business, which is an interesting part of our sustainability story as well. But although we published a report which we called the inaugural sustainability report, the reality is that we're 125 years old, and you cannot have lasted this long if you haven't had some form of sustainability in your strategy. So we're calling it the first report officially, but in reality, we've been practicing sustainability for many years, and our history is rich. We go back to 1896 when we were in fact told to build a plant at the time. And that plant is still there in Modderfontein. It looks very different to what you see on the picture. And that plant was built to provide explosives to the mining industry, which was booming at the time, and we're still seeing good growth in mining. The site, however, and many of our sites are large industrial chemical sites. And when they were established, they enjoyed the benefit of having big open spaces around them. But that's not the case today. Our Modderfontein facility is arguably a small industrial area now in a massive residential area. So all around us, we have huge developments that are much bigger than our industry. And that in itself brings massive challenges. But it's still there. We're still manufacturing explosives and initiating systems and many other products. If you look at Somerset West at the bottom there, that picture, that facility was established in 1903. If you go there today, what you'll find is the image on the right, because the Somerset West facility was finally closed down, remediated in the last couple of years. And if you go there today, you'll find this beautiful Paardevlei estate, which used to be a huge chemical facility. And we successfully remediated it and sold it to the city of Cape Town, and they in turn have sold it to the developers. So if you go there, there's a hospital, there's a school, there's a cheetah rehabilitation center which we support, and but it's a very different facility. At the top there in Bogantwini, which is just near Amanzimtoti, that facility was established in 1908. It is also still there. It looks very different. Our model had to be changed. We had to allow tenants on the site. So we've got other big players, other big chemical companies that have come and established themselves on our facility. They enjoy the benefits of utilities. But what they also do is they add to our environmental footprint, of course. So while they bring and they pay to pee on the site, they also bring risk with them that we have to deal with. So it's a model that continuously has to change. In the bottom right-hand corner, probably one of our more recent acquisitions, a business called Sherm out of Germany, and they have a facility in Texas. And one of their oldest sites is Lübeck. And they officially commenced chemical operations in 1957, but this site goes back to World War II. And one of the interesting things about this site is if you look very carefully there, you can see that the roofs are actually grassed. And not only is that an environmental thing, in other words, it brings a bit of aesthetics to it. It also was a method in which they tried to hide the buildings from World War II bombers. So a very interesting story that comes with this facility. So again, you don't last this long without having sustainability in your core. And that, what I mean by that is from a business strategy perspective, as opposed to the tone of sustainability from a United Nations perspective. And I think one of the key learnings, Elaine, for us and for me personally has been, when we talk sustainability, my history through my career, when we talk about sustainability, it was typically through an environmental lens, or that was the paradigm that existed, was sustainability is all about the environment. Whereas now we know sustainability is a core business imperative, and you'll see how it features on our strategy in a moment. Just briefly, we have a presence in 22 countries, and you can try and imagine the diversity of challenges. So if you were to pose that question that was asked, what are the 6 or so key or 3 key sustainability issues, you can imagine the range of answers you will get from people in all of these countries. We are busy with our materiality survey in all of these areas. And if you ask a shareholder in America versus a shareholder in South Africa or in Ghana what their key sustainability issues are, they are very different. You know, we don't have issues of poverty, food, and hunger in the US and places like Australia, and we certainly don't have issues like transformation in Germany. So one of our big challenges is, how do we come up with a sustainability strategy that does not and cannot pick all 17 UN SDGs? You just can't do that. So you've got to find a way to bring that down to core sustainable development goals and targets, which make sense for the masses that you see on this graph. On this image. So 22 countries, which made for very exciting development, by the way. So going back to the birth of our strategy, and as an organization, the big change for us probably occurred about 2 years ago, when we really found this drive to be an organization that is driven by purpose. So the Better World was born 2 years ago in real earnest at a strategy session where the leadership team got together and said, guys, how do we want to define AECI? What do we want to be seen as? And everybody's doing the stuff that you see in this word bubble, but how are we going to actually use chemistry in a good way? And how are we going to make a difference in the lives of our own staff, our contractors, our customers, and of course in the communities in which we operate? So our real purpose was born, and that has then, from that, the strategy has now been developed. And what you'll see here is what we call the 136 model. So we have one AECI that is driving strategy over 3 strategic platforms, and you'll see at the top there, Zero Harm and Sustainability, which is being run at the moment as one strategic focus area. Innovation, and then digital is the 3rd strategic platform. And the strategy delivers in 6 strategic themes. And this is what I wanted to highlight about the business side of things. And to give you an idea, one of the key members of our sustainability team right now is actually a chartered accountant. So yes, we've got the normal technical people, we've got lots of environmental people on it, we've got the chemists, we've got the biochemists that are on the team. But the reality is that the coordination still has a very strong business flavor to it. So although we are driving a lot of projects here that will cost money, we are also driving a lot of projects that are designed to return on that investment, and we are tracking the rands and cents associated with those projects as to what they will return by when. So there's a very strong financial and business flavor to our sustainability strategy. If you read the current report, the 2020 report we put out, you won't see a strong focus yet on the economic side. That is going to be developed, and you'll probably see in the 2021 report, you'll see a lot more about growth, etc. But there is quite a bit of it in the integrated report. If you go and look at that report, you can look at the strategy in terms of growth and acquisitions, and of course the finances are disclosed in there. So this is the business strategy. This is not the sustainability strategy. But it is where the sustainability strategy is driven from. And it's no longer a side issue. It's front and center as a strategic platform through which this organization intends to survive for another many, many years. Going to the actual strategy itself, and I said to Elaine, I'm not going to talk about the development. I would rather talk about implementation and some of the key projects that we're working on. But this gives you an idea of what the report looks like. And it's one of those dichotomies. I know you're going to ask me, did we print hard copies? Well, we chose that we were going to print very limited hard copies because, to be honest, and I'm not a millennial, it's very nice to have this hard copy in your hand, Elaine. Okay. So for the millennials out there that are going that you're contradicting yourself by printing hard copies, it's one of those things that we have printed. It's very nice to have in your hand. And we hope that those that choose to throw it away will recycle. But other than that, we've made it available as an ebook and a PDF, etc., on our website. But it's a very nice document. It's probably the most inefficient piece of work I've done in my career. There's a bit of a confession, because it took me 2 years. When I was given the task of writing a sustainability report, which is the outcome, little did we know how much work was going to be needed to get this done. Because you can't just go and write a report. By definition, is rear looking. This report has a large component of forward looking components to it. So by definition, it's not only a report, it's actually got in it strategic elements, and those elements are captured on the right here. So the core of our strategy is 10 goals, and you can see, if you look very carefully in the image here, you'll see them numbered. So better mining is number 1, and it's not in an order of priority. There's no priority in these 10, but better mining, better water, better food systems, and better chemistry are the 4 big areas. And how did we get to them? Well, you've got to match your ability as an organization as to where you can really make an impact. And that was the one area for us is we're going to do this. We're going to look at the United Nations goals. We're going to look at the National Development Plan in South Africa. We're going to look at the sustainability issues in the respective countries. And we're going to pick the ones that are where we can actually make a big difference using our businesses. So we wanted to be able to demonstrate our capability as an organization whilst making a difference. And our capability is really in these big 4 areas around mining, water, food, and chemistry. Then you've got the responsible operations, the green part. I refer to that as the sustainability issues within our boundaries. So that's all about our own carbon footprint, our own water footprint, and of course, zero harm, which has already been on a 3 to 4 year journey. And that makes its way into the sustainability strategy now. So you have an integrated strategy. And again, the 4 Excellence team are assisting me at the moment with integrating sustainability into zero harm, or the other way around. We do believe that it's going to take a shift where sustainability will probably be the mothership, and zero harm gets included in that. So the overarching strategic drive will be sustainability. Then at the bottom, and not by any way the least important, is the people. So goals 8, 9, and 10 are all around the organizational culture across these 22 countries. How do we recruit, create passionate people? How do we get them to thrive in this industry? How do we get them to embrace sustainability, grow, and then of course deal with all of the agendas we have to deal with in the respective countries? We're very proud of what we've done around diversity and inclusion, around women in the workplace, etc. But there's lots more to be done. At the bottom are 6 what we're calling top line KPIs. There are several more in development at the moment, but these are the 6 that we've gone public with that we aim to achieve by 2025. So you'll see 5 of them have got arrows pointing down, indicating that we intend to reduce, and 1 of them has an upward arrow. So just very briefly, our goals for 2025 is to reduce the potable water that we extract from the various municipalities, etc., to reduce that by 25%. We don't want to use potable water for industrial use, okay? Secondly, is to reduce the amount of discharge we are putting into the sea and sewer. And to give you an example, we've got a discharge pipeline in KwaZulu-Natal where we discharge straight into the ocean and under permit conditions, etc. And we have lots of discharge points into rivers and sewers, just like many of you, I suppose. And we are intending to reduce that discharge by 20%. Then we go to our scope 1 emissions, another 20% reduction. And by the way, from a compliance perspective in South Africa, we've got the 2020 minimum emission standards, and AECI has chosen we will not postpone further than that. We will not extend further than 2021. Although we've been granted postponement, we will be fully compliant by 2021 to those minimum emission standards. Then we have the incident rate. It's always been very big in AECI, is say occupational safety, and our goal is to get to a TRIR of 0.25 by 2025. But let me iterate that the goal is, of course, always zero, and that is embedded in our zero harm strategy. But you've got to set milestones, and again, it can be an emotional discussion as to why the goal is simply not zero. And it's physically just, it's setting milestones for the organization, and 0.25 will get us in amongst the best in our league. We've also gone public with a goal to reduce moderate environmental incidents. Now you'll see many organizations will pitch their goals at much higher levels, major and serious. And we've also got lots of those. But from an environmental incident management perspective, we've actually been very good over the years at reducing this year on year. We haven't had a serious incident since 2011. And we've chosen then to say, let's tick away at the next level, which is quite brave, and that is to tick away at the moderate incidents. Finally, in the renewable space, we've gone to market with a goal of increasing our renewables by 8%. And this will all be done at the moment. The strategy is all driven around solar. We've identified 5 key strategic locations in which we will be establishing large to medium scale solar farms, and they will largely be for our own internal consumption. So we'll be offsetting consumption from the network. That story is likely to develop significantly given the recent announcement in South Africa about independent producers. But right now, we have not got a strategy to go and establish power facilities that we intend to use in the business at the moment. These are all, to use as business, in other words, sell. This strategy at the moment is driven at internal consumption through renewables. However, these strategies will change as the story changes, and as we learn and as we develop and acquire and sell, the strategy itself will be dynamic. So in terms of identifying which of the United Nations goals you are going to choose to focus on, you simply cannot go with 17. And all 17 have got sub-goals. Then you've got to look at the National Development Plan, and I've said you've got to look at the challenges in each of the countries in which we operate, and what are those governments' priorities. And it was very challenging for us. However, we have settled on these 5 priority areas, and as I've said, we believe that through our business, we can make a difference in all of them. So all of them will be done in partnership, of course, but a big focus for us is on hunger, around food security, around reducing waste, etc. And I'll talk a little bit about that now. We are well positioned to deliver water solutions, desalination, public and private water, and we're very well positioned with innovative water solutions that are taking waste streams and turning them into potable water solutions. Of course, we want to create decent work and growth everywhere. We are very much focused on being responsible in terms of our consumption and production. And finally, which we're probably all working on in some way, is our obligation to reduce and take action in terms of climate change. Just very briefly around CSI, we have a very well structured CSI strategy, and we do some excellent work. I'm blessed to be sitting on the CSI committee as well. We've done a lot of work recently around food and winter and COVID, etc. However, one of the things in terms of sustainability is to say, how do you align your CSI strategy with your sustainability strategy? So we have a method here that we use in which we can then rate the various strategic focus areas that we have for CSI and where do they fit in this matrix. And what we're trying to do is find more that can go in the top right-hand corner where it is a CSI project, but it actually has strategic ability here. And one of the key focus areas for us is water. We've done lots of CSI projects around water, but at the same time, we have very well demonstrated our ability to rapidly build water plants at schools and offset that with our agri guys that go in and show the same school how to plant a little vegetable garden and how to irrigate it with the right water and not over irrigate, etc. And then they can use that for personal consumption or sell it. So we've been able to go and demonstrate those capabilities, and that's positioned us well in the public sector where government sees our ability to do this, and we've been able to leverage that and actually be quite successful in both our public and private sector water businesses. So how do we govern sustainability? We have established a sustainability steering committee. You'll see on this green block here in the second row, it talks about sustainable development, and that's another key learning for us. We're no longer in development phase, so we're simply calling it our sustainability steering committee. It's chaired by myself, but I have an executive who is my sponsor, and he attends the meeting, and we have several managing directors. So for some of you, that might be at an SVP level, and then we have a number of specialists that are on this committee. And at the moment, we are being assisted by a consulting firm called Emergent, and they are assisting us with strategy execution, which I'm going to talk about now. And as I've said, the person that's assigned to our team is actually a chartered accountant. So a lot of the conversation is around the return on investment. The Sustainability Steercom feeds into the respective group business excos and the AECI exco, and that's where I provide feedback. And then I also have a seat on the Social and Ethics Committee. That's where I get my mandate from, and ultimately we then have a reporting structure into the board itself. So that's a little bit about governance. Let's talk about execution. As I've said, we're being assisted by Emergent, and they're using an agile project management module, and we've got into a series of what they call sprints, and we're in sprint number 2 at the moment. And these are some of the tools that we're using. So the sprints are short bursts of high intensity work. So you put quite a bit of strain on the organization to get the work done. And it's quite painful if you're in the business and you're being bothered by a corporate guy. We're not the most liked people in the world. I'm sure some of you can relate. And therefore, what we try to do is say, let's do the work, let's do it in a short burst, and let's not overly burden the business. Because you can imagine, if you look at the strategy slide I showed you, they're busy with many other things. So sustainability is but one of the things that business is kept busy with. So our model is to say, we run a sprint, we get very specific work done in the sprint, and we take it to the steering committee at the end of that sprint. So we're currently in sprint 2, And we have in Sprint 2 right now, a key piece of the work that we're busy with is the materiality matrix. We've actually approved it yesterday, the materiality survey, which will be deployed throughout the world to all of our stakeholders. So that's employees, contractors, directors, managers, customers, suppliers, governments, regulators, industry bodies, etc. We'll give them all an opportunity to tell us what they believe are material sustainability issues for them when looking at us. And that's going to allow us to then match what we believe is material for us to what our customers and suppliers, etc., believe is material. So in reality, it's going to allow us in 2021 to further mold the strategy and make sure that we're delivering on what we believe our shareholders believe we should be doing. And it's going to be interesting I'm looking forward to seeing that result. These are a few of the examples below. We've got various tracking tools. We've got 10 working streams that are running across the organization, and we track each of their performance with some form of dashboard and color coding. Of course, nobody likes to see red on their dashboard, and typically when you show these things, the red dots go away very quickly. On the right-hand side is a balanced scorecard, and this is also in development at the moment. We've got these 10 teams have each got a set of smart sheets that we're using, and these smart sheets automatically roll up and produce a group scorecard, which I then use to show how it's going across all of these 10 goal areas and how it's going across the top line KPIs. Because one thing we need to be wary of here is, are we going to over or under deliver in certain areas? Are we exposed that we're not doing enough projects? Because each of these 10 areas have given us all of the projects that they're doing related to sustainability. We're tracking which goal that project is connected to. We're tracking what that project is likely to deliver. So if it's a water reduction project, we're tracking what is that project going to deliver in terms of reduction in potables, etc. So we're able to roll this all up, and it's very intricate, but roll it up from the 10 teams, looking at all their projects and rolling up the projects that are designed to deliver in the same area to say, okay, what is it going to deliver? We're also very careful in terms of tracking the costs of that project. And the one principle, there are many principles, but the one key principle that we've written down is that we will not affect another business by doing this project. So to give you an idea, we have a property business, and we have a water business, and we have an explosives business that all sit on the same facility. And what we don't want to do is, through a project, is disable one of the other areas from a revenue stream. So you don't want to take a revenue stream away from one of your sister companies by executing a project in a company alone. So these are some tricky things you have to manage, but we have a balanced scorecard which is showing how we're doing across environment, social, and governance issues. I'm rushing a bit, aware of time. So let me just share with you one or two of the exciting projects that we are busy with. We recently signed a partnership with this organization called Origin. I would encourage you to go and have a look at their website. They market themselves as the world's leading carbon negative materials company. They are out and out a chemistry company that uses very innovative technologies to get to to get to carbon neutral or even carbon free materials. And to give an example, here we have a fiber company that we own in North Carolina. They produce fibers. If you look at the picture of the car there, you can see the stitching. That fiber that you've got in your car is very possibly made by us before it goes to the manufacturers who make the chairs and the seats in your car, etc. But we also make fibers for high-end apparel like Nike, and we also make a fiber for the US military. But these fibers are derived from a crude oil derivative. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, the PET. And we've now signed a deal with these guys to, over the next couple of years, to convert to a completely carbon negative product. And it is in fact it derived from wood, and it's a sustainable wood supply, which will eventually offset the crude oil product that we're using at the moment. We've also signed a deal with them with our asphalt business. We own this organization called Much Asphalt. It's one of the biggest, largest producers of asphalt in Africa. Lots of the roads that you'll see being built is a lot of it is our product. We don't lay roads ourselves. Let me be clear. We provide the product to the contractors who lay these roads. And one of the products that they need is bitumen. And again, bitumen is obviously crude derived from the various refineries in the country. And a similar process will happen where Origin is working with us on a replacement product for that bitumen, where we will then have a bitumen derived from a non-carbon product. Food, as I've mentioned, we don't make food, just for the record. We do make food products, like over here, number 4. If any of you are using a fiber supplement called Fibersol, we make that. But we also make products for the cultures that you have in your yogurts, and a lot of the juices that you drink were likely made by us. However, we provide them to another organization where they get bottled and sold, etc. But one of our big focus areas here on the left is the great work we've done with farmers in improving the yields of their products. So working on how to manage not only the soil health, but the plant health and the irrigation levels, so that we get the best out of that plant, and we produce a healthy product. And if it's a fruit, we want to produce a fruit that's going to last longer on the rack, and we want to minimize food waste. One of the exciting ones here in the bottom right-hand corner is we've partnered with this company called Mega Inliner. So if you are transporting non-hazardous goods in big containers, what we do is we insert this inliner inside the container. You then fill the container as normal, and once you've emptied it, that inliner can be pulled out, completely recyclable, meaning you have no need for waters and chemicals to clean out these containers. So you're using a plastic, fully recyclable liner that goes inside instead of using the tanker itself. So lots that we're doing around food. One that we're really proud of in mining, and this one is a very specific safety-related one, but we recently made what's been regarded as the world's deepest drop of emulsion. So if you understand the explosives business, emulsion needs to be taken underground, and in Africa that could be very deep, and that would typically go down a shaft in tankers. So you'd have lots and lots of transportation of emulsion with people in close proximity. Our vertical drop system is now able to drop emulsion without any person getting close to it. And we've installed these underground bulk emulsion silos, etc. And we're able to drop down, and this is the deepest one we've done in Zambia, and we're able to drop emulsion down in huge volumes, and we did it to 980 meters. So very exciting product. And this one is safety related and not so much an environmental issue. However, if you imagine that you've taken away all those vehicles that would have transported this, all of those vehicles are gone. So that those emissions are all gone, and the fuel use from those vehicles is all gone. What we have here is a gravity-fed, very low energy solution. I'm almost done. Water, probably the area, I wouldn't say we're most excited about, but we certainly are well positioned. We recently commissioned a new plant within our explosives factory. So our water team built a plant, and this plant is taking a sewage effluent stream and converting it into turning it into potable water. And it's currently saving or taking 400 million liters of potable water off the grid, which we would have extracted from the municipality. And to give you an idea, that's enough potable water to supply 4,600 families or people in a year. So that's a significant reduction in potable water, and we're doing it by converting a sewage stream, which it's interesting to see when you hand people a bottle of water and you tell them where it came from. On the right-hand side, another big focus area for us I've mentioned is public and private water. And here's an example of of an integrated project handover where we handed over a water treatment plant. At the same time, we handed over food parcels, and we handed over a sanitization facility for the kids so that they can make sure their hands are clean, that they've got food, and these food parcels last quite some time, and they've got access to potable drinking water at their school. So in summary, our strategy is, as I've said, it's taken us 2 years to get to where we are, but we've been busy for much, much longer than that. Our strategy is driven by our purpose, which is also quite a cultural change for us. We've always been keen on and made a difference. We've always done CSI and great work around education, etc. But it's now really become core, and this word better appears everywhere, and it's not just lip service, it's real meaningful conversations and work that we are doing, but it's work that we're doing that intends to deliver returns as well. We've prioritized 5 United Nations goals, and internally we are focusing in 10 specific areas, as I've mentioned: better mining, water, food, and chemistry. Then our focus on our own internal responsible operations, and of course, passionate people that have got to deliver all this stuff, which is all about culture. And at the moment, we've gone public with 6 top-line KPIs, but you will see more in the 2021 report once we've bedded down some of the other goals that we intend to go public with. And that's it. A bit of a rushy lane, but hopefully there are some good questions and some good insights.
Yes, thank you so much, Neil. I think what's making it more interesting at AECI is you've got so many different type of businesses. So it's sustainability in different aspects. You've got mining, you've got the explosives, you've got the food, health, plant health, and animal health. So that's very interesting to see how the projects that you are currently running at AECI. I've got a question from De Wet Herselman. He's lecturer at Rotterdam Business School. De Wet, I'm laughing at your question because De Wet and I worked at Exaro a couple of years ago, and we were both at head office. So we definitely understand how operations perceive head office. So the next question is, how do you manage the buy-in and the support from your operations to the irritating head office guys taking up so much of your time when you do the implementation of these sustainability projects?
Yeah, well, the reality is, Devet, you don't. Okay, you to get to a stage where the guys are going, Neil, please come to our plant and give us some work. That doesn't happen. So my approach as Devet has always been a personal one of trying to be an enabler. In other words, is getting business to understand that what we're doing actually enables them in their own strategy, rather than it being a detractor and keeping them busy. Unfortunately, you need their time. You need them to give you people, and you need them to sit in meetings, and that's never gonna stop. I think the important thing is making sure that you spend time with the buy-in, and that's what we did. We had a facilitated 3 hours with each of these leadership teams to talk them through the strategy. And remember, they were all part of the development. So this is the other thing is, if you intend to develop this in your back office in Bryanston or wherever you sit, and then go and try and enforce it on business, not going to happen. And that's why the 2 years of development was so critical, that we engage with those businesses in the development. Then when it came to approval and execution, it was like, okay, I understand where this comes from. I understand why we need to do it. That makes it a lot easier. I think the other big component is ensuring that the senior leadership get up and they say the right things. So the ExCo gets up at our quarterly leadership teams, gets up and says, Neil, and by the way, I'm always first on the agenda. I even get to go before the finance guys, etc. So I'm very first on the leadership agenda at our meetings, and I talk zero harm and sustainability. But my boss will get up and say, right, guys, how's it going? What are we doing? Where do we need help? Who needs help? And then ensuring that you give that help. And that's why we've got the consultants. It's not forever and ever, because my boss is very clear that you need to wean yourself off the consultants, and you need to make this part of operations rhythm day to day. But I think that's the key, is disrupt, but disrupt quickly, and disrupt as little people as you can.
Thank you, Neil. And then just a follow-up question from Priya, Environmental Manager at Bidvest. He's asking, how does one create a mindset change within an organization? For example, to change the focus from financial bottom line to prioritizing ESG. That's quite an interesting question.
Yeah, Priya, I think Priya and I have met. So I think it's with any strategy, Priya. The similar with zero harm, when we went on this journey, was how are we going to get a shift in the organization to respect and buy into this and realize that there are many more things than just one indicator. And the balance scorecard is a key thing, is making sure that you're tracking the right stuff and that it gets enough airtime and that it is pushed through from the execs into the leadership team's KPIs. So we've got a very, very nice, if you can call it that, performance management system. I think I saw a human capital person on the call, but performance management is not the greatest thing. We don't all like it, but if you do it properly, it can be very useful. So we make sure that sustainability makes its way into the respective people's KPIs, and that it's a balanced set of indicators. So the people know that they've got a role to play in this thing. And then it's the usual stuff. We make sure the leadership talks about it, that we get enough, that we give it enough airtime, whether it be at a meeting, whether it be in our internal magazine, whether it be on LinkedIn, whether it be a short video that we do internally or our internal messaging. It's about giving these things balanced airtime. Okay, and that means the finances get a lot of airtime as well, because we've got to keep the business afloat. Right now, I'll give an example. We're dealing with Poppy, and I'm sure you're all dealing with Poppy. Okay, and it's just going to become a way. It has to become a way of life. We've got to embrace this thing called Poppy, and we've got to push it, enable it, and train, etc. And I hope that helps, Priya.
Okay, thank you, Neil. We don't have a lot of time left. Neil, I just want to ask you to just close your presentation, then we can open our presentation again. And I see you've got a question. Maybe while I open the presentation, you can ask that question to Neil.
Yes, Neil. So it's the usual question that most people often wonder about. You realize that most organizations, they prefer to be carbon neutral, but I see in your case, you guys have made an effort to be carbon negative. Why is that approach so desirable?
Yeah, so thanks. And let me be clear firstly that the carbon negative is really at a project level. In other words, where we can achieve it. It's not a broad statement to be carbon negative. But let me explain the difference. I'm not the scientist here, by the way, but everybody, and if you go and look at Origin's website, you'll find all these big organizations that have committed to carbon neutrality or net zero or whatever you want it to be. The reality is, for me, a non-scientist, I ask myself, have they reduced their carbon emissions? Okay. Have you physically reduced your emissions? Or are you offsetting? And are you doing all sorts of other things, but in reality, you haven't reduced? So our mindset is, guys, where we can actually reduce our emissions or indirect emissions, for example, from electricity suppliers, let's do that if we can do it. So going carbon negative is a step way beyond carbon neutral, because carbon negative actually says that you get to a point where you actually emit less. In other words, you get to a point where where carbon neutral might be that you're emitting the same amount as you are consuming. Carbon negative goes a step beyond that, where you're actually emitting none or even going into a negative situation. So that's a very different topic, and you can go and read about it as well on Origin's website. They've got a glossary of which they define these things, and I think we have to ask ourselves, those companies that are committing to carbon neutrality or net zero, are they actually technically emitting less?
Thank you very much, Neil. So we've really enjoyed your presentation, and I must say what you guys are doing is very encouraging, and we want to say keep up and continue with the commitment towards a sustainable future. For us, it's an encouragement to see that there are organizations who are just not doing lip service, but actually in the process of ensuring that they are reaching their sustainability goals. Please keep up with your team at AECI. Thank you so much.
Okay, so just for final checkout, we would like you to just scan the barcode on your phone. We've got a few more questions for you, but you can answer that in your own time. And yes, it's been great to have everyone with us. The 3 questions is just to provide one short phrase that summarizes your key takeaway from today's discussion. We would really like to hear what you have to say and what you've learned from this. The second question is, which sustainability topics would you like to learn about during these webinars? If we plan these webinars in future, what would you like to hear about? And then if you would like to be a guest speaker at one of these webinars, then kindly provide your email address and we will contact you as well. And yes, we've come to the end of our second webinar. If you want to contact us at For Excellence, you can contact one of our directors, Marinda Swart. The email address is info@forexcellence.solutions. You can also have a look at our website. And yes, we would like you to stay safe, keep on being excellent, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.